All right, sorry about that. We always record our section for the purpose of the people that will not be able to join us, because I have a lot of students that they don't join because people have to work and we can't all be free at the same time. So they always go back and watch the video. So let me start. So as I was saying, today is going to be just a brief introduction about the class, in order just for us to be more organized, more to be on the same page. So first, how do you prepare for the class? How do you prepare for the class? For you to prepare for the class, there are a lot of things that you need to do. First, you need to make this learning important to you. How do you make the learning important to you? I know that everybody, if I start talking, because I talk to a lot of people, and believe me, everybody have excuse not to do something right. But if you can give this learning the same attention that you put or you give other things that are important to you, I can bet you you're going to make sure, you're going to derive the benefits of it. So make the learning important to you. Be prepared. It's not everybody wants to go into IT because IT pays a lot of money. I have people that earn close to 500,000. I have people in a year. I have people that earn 200, 300 in a year. So when people hear about this money, they think that it's an easy thing that everybody can just jump in. It's not like that. It's a very tedious task to get there. But when you get there, it's easy. The job is easy. But before you get there, you're going to do a lot of things. So for you to be able to get there, for you to be able to get the job, you have to be prepared for everything that comes your way. It's going to be a very intense class, but I'm going to make sure that I make it extremely simple, especially for those people that do not know anything about computer. If you have never heard about cloud before, don't worry, because we are going to start from scratch. We're going to start from what is a computer. So all you just need to know right now is just to have access to laptop, have access to internet, be able to run your computer. Then from there, we will build up. So thirdly, you need to participate in any assignment, group discussion, interaction in class. Please participate. I've seen several times that majority of people that participate in the class, that answers questions, that talk, that give solutions to answer, they tend to get job faster than people that don't really talk. Because for those that talk, for those that participate in the class, that means they are following the class. But some people, they don't follow the class, they just take the video, put it down, they say, oh, I'm going to watch the video later. So before you know it, they are out of touch. They don't really know what we're discussing in class again. They just come, they just join, thinking that, okay, when the class finishes, I'm going to go back and watch all the video. Believe me, it's not as easy as that, because watching 3 hours video, almost 50 or 60 videos of 3 hours video, is not a thing that is easy to go back and do. So how can you make sure that you stay in touch? You make sure that you participate in class, so that any topic we are discussing, you are following it. Even if you get lost, and maybe you at any point in time, maybe as a sort of distraction, you don't know what we're discussing, but for the fact that you're still following, you will catch up. Because one thing I always do, I always try to make sure I repeat myself several times, so that when somebody miss, when I'm repeating the same topic, they understand what I'm talking about. Also, ask questions. And this batch, I tried to make a lot of changes to this batch compared to last batch, because I discovered that majority of my students, they don't really ask questions. Those that ask questions are those that already attended my class before, or they already attended AWS before. But the new students, they tend not to ask questions. And after the training, I always take reviews from them. I always take feedback from them. And what I normally hear is that, hey, this thing is totally new to me. I'm just hearing it for the first time. So I need a lot of time to process it before I can ask questions. So what have I done this time around to make sure that it helps everybody? I try to remove some of the topic that we normally cover first before. I put them towards the end, or towards the time that we are going to need them. why I put those very simple ones to the front. And I also try to introduce another topic, which is called AWS Cloud Practitioner, which is going to give you a main foundation, a basic terminologies of the cloud. So this Cloud Practitioner, you don't really need to understand cloud before, because it's going to introduce you to technologies in the cloud. It's going to introduce you to services in the cloud. So when you understand the technologies, when you understand the services, then by the time we are now talking about each of these services in depth, then you now understand, okay, this is why we are doing this. So I believe that is going to help us a lot. And please, 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 if you don't understand what I'm talking, always ask questions. And I'm also going to put us in a group. This group, people have not really been using the group in the past, but this one, we're going to use the group because I already have a lot of projects for us, which I'm going to be introducing immediately after each module. So you can't do this project by yourself. You have to do it with other people. If you still want to do it by yourself, you are welcome, but working in IT is not, you don't work in IT in isolation. You have to work in a team, you have to work in a group. So that is what we are practicing. Also, research the topic before live class. We have a lot of videos, especially we have the videos for the last batch, we have videos for the previous batch, and all of these videos, you have access to them. So it's always going to be better for you to watch a previous class video before the current class. So that way you already have knowledge about the topic and you have questions to ask. Take the project serious. We're going to give you lots of hands-on, we're going to do lots of assignments and lots of projects. Please take it serious. I gave my previous batch, because it's finished on December 3rd, I gave them some projects to do, and I'm so surprised that not even one person has actually reached out to me that they have completed the whole project. Some of them do one, some of them do 2 of it, but the remaining are yet to be done. So please, if you are listening to me, go back and do that project. And those projects, I'm not going to wait till the end of the class to introduce them now. I'm going to be introducing them as we cover the modules for that topic. So you also are going to be doing almost the same project, and there are more projects to do as well. Still not end. We see to still continue optimizing your learning, you have to watch the videos before the live section. The old videos, try to watch it. The videos that we did in the previous class, make sure after the class, go back and rewatch it so that any question you have, you bring it to the class. Please, always network with other students. Don't isolate yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Network with other students, because the other student might get a job before you, and in his place of work, they might need more people or more candidates, so they can refer you. I've been referred to jobs several times. I've referred some of my friends to jobs, and some of my candidates have referred other friends of them to jobs. So you can't always do this alone. The way I got into IT and the way I'm very good in it is because I always network with other people, try to learn from them. I joined training as myself. I still join several AWS training that people do just to learn from them what I don't know, and you can learn a lot. So celebrate yourself. Anything that you get right, any small thing that you get right, always celebrate yourself. Praise yourself. It's not easy. Even if it is the minor or the smallest thing that you get it right, celebrate yourselves. This is one thing I like about developers. When we're developing an application and maybe there is a bug in the code or they couldn't get it right, immediately they get it right, you will see the feelings in their face. Have fun and relax. Don't just sit on the system for too long hours thinking that you're going to get it. I learned this when I was a developer. If I'm trying to troubleshoot something and I'm not getting it, if I sit down there for complete 12 hours, believe me, I may still not get it. But immediately I leave the system, go somewhere else, go and do something else, Then when I come back to it, I now see the things I wasn't seeing clearly before. And that is how it works everywhere. Have fun, relax, and you will be okay. Give it all it takes to succeed. If it is for you to reduce your sleep, reduce it. It's just for 4 months. If it's for you to tell your family that, hey, this 4 months is going to be a very critical thing or very critical time in my life, do it. And don't just do this trying to hide this from your family, because bet me, you can't hide this from your family, because this is going to take a lot of your time. And if you don't carry them along, it might cause issue. So finally, help others. Don't think that, oh, I don't know anything, so I can't help others. The little you know, there are a lot of people that don't know that. So if you train other people what you know, you're going to know more. You're going to know more. I know a lot of things in AWS today because I always teach other people. And this is not a joke. I have some people in my place of work, they are my senior, but they still come to me to ask for what they do, what they will do, because they believe that I know more than them, though they are my senior, but because I'm training others, so it gives me a lot of reasons to know a lot of things on AWS. But other people that are just working on AWS or working in life, they may just be doing one thing. That's why you see some people, they are in a job, they are in a task. They say, I have 15 years of experience in this thing, but they don't know more than what you know because they have been doing the same thing for the past 15 years. All right, let's quickly go to the laptop requirements, because I've seen a lot of people that they always bring old school laptops. See, if you want to optimize your learning, if you want to be on the same page, you want to get it right very fast, you need a very good laptop. And the minimum I would recommend is called i5 or equivalent. Even called i3 is still good, but if you have like called i7 or higher, that is more better. Please don't bring laptop of 4 gig RAM to this class, because it's going to slow you down. The minimum requirement for your laptop RAM should be 8 gig, minimum of 8 gig. Anything below 8 gig is going to slow you down. And that's when, if you are doing something, you might left, your system might be rolling. And me, especially if I'm helping you to troubleshoot and your system is taking forever to load, man, I don't have the time, because I get a lot of other students also that I want to help. So minimum of 8 gig, but I recommend 16 gig. Even my own office laptop is 32 gig, extremely fast, but 16 gig is fine. The laptop I'm using currently is 16 gig. Then about the storage, minimum storage should be 152, or if you are using SSD, it can be 256. Majority of the time, this doesn't really count to me, because you can back up your data in the cloud. What about, this is hardware. No, now let's look at software requirements. You can use Windows 10 or Windows 11. You can use Mac OS, you can use Linux, but the one I recommend, which is everybody use and that I myself will be using for this class, is Windows 11. But if you have Windows 10, that is fine too. Mac people, those people that are using Mac, you are still welcome, because we are not going to be doing something outside, too much that your Mac will not be useful. But there are some, because majority of students use Windows, there are some deployment that we want to do, we just go to Windows straight. And for you that are using Mac, then you have to wait for us to finish, or we have to come back to you. That's why I always recommend everybody to use the same laptop, which is Windows. I use Windows and I also use Mac. I use Mac at work, but I use Windows as my own personal system. So there is no much difference in it, but Mac is good for security. Windows 2 is not bad, but for people that are just learning computer, Windows is better. About software for encryptions, software for scripting and automation. Python you recommended is Python 3. There's ordinary Python, which is Python 2, but they call it Python. There is Python 3. So make sure that your system has Python 3. If you don't have Python on your system, you can watch any YouTube video on how to install Python on your system. Then Bash. Python and Bash, they normally use for scripting. So this is one thing that I say I move towards the back of the class, towards the end of the class, or when we need them, because we're going to be writing scripting, but I'm not going to introduce them at the beginning of the class. I've done that before, and a lot of people doesn't find it funny. So I want to ease people into the class before we start introducing those things. If you say, I don't like programming, I don't like coding, I get it. And also another thing I did is that I've divided the class into two. And if you don't really like coding at all, then when we get there, I will tell you what to focus on. But if you are focusing on cybersecurity, cloud engineer, you cannot do without coding. You can't do without Python. You can't do without scripting, because nobody wants to pay you that huge amount of money to be doing what should take you 1 hour and to be using 1 day for it. Nobody wants to do that. And if you want to optimize performance, you need to automate repeatable tasks that you do every day. You want to automate it so that you don't have to do it. System do it for you. Then we're going to be needing a text editor. Text editor is just like your notepad, but there are some fancy text editor out there that you can use. One of them is Visual Studio Code, and that is what I will be using. There are other ones, that's a lot of them, but the one I'm going to be using for this class, and I'm also going to show you how to install it. We don't really need it now, so don't bother. When we need it, I will gradually show you how to install it and also configure it as well. For those people that will be doing solution architect, maybe your focus is on solution architect because you don't like the coding part, then you need to be able to draw diagram. Don't bother, you are not an artist, but there are some diagram, just like if you have seen somebody that built house before, they always architects draw the house plan before they start building it. They just don't go out there and start building the house. They build the house based on the plan. And you too, you're going to be somebody that will be drawing that plan for those people that will be deploying cloud resources. So for you to be able to draw architectural diagram, then you will need some architectural tools. And the one that we recommend or that I use is Lucidchart. So when we get there, I will show you how to register for it. You don't download anything. You just go to their website and register for it. And it's free, but there is also a paid version that you can use. So we need that for our architectural work. And there are also some other tools that we're going to be introducing later in the class as the time goes on. We use a lot of tools in IT, and this is why it makes the job easier. And don't worry, don't think that, hey, too much of tools, because you don't cram them. You just learn them gradually. The one you learned today, if your company introduced ones today, they don't force you like, hey, start to learn it now. They give you some time to learn it. And the more you use it, the more it becomes part and parcel of you. Like a lot of us, when mobile phone first came out, we don't know how to use it. But when you use mobile phone every day, even 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old children now, they can operate phone. They can operate it because they keep using it every day. And that is the same thing or the same concept that we apply for all of these tools. Infrastructure as code. We're going to be using Terraform. And before, I never teach any of my students CloudFormation, but this time around, we are going to do CloudFormation. I will reduce a lot of work we are going to do on Terraform so that we can also incorporate CloudFormation. I already covered Terraform several times. Even if you go to our YouTube channel, I still cover Terraform 7 days Terraform section that is on our YouTube channel. Past classes, we also cover Terraform. And that doesn't mean that we're not going to cover Terraform here in this class. We're still going to be covering Terraform, but we are not going to go. There are some things that we just remove. Those things that is not really relevant, that you can learn them anywhere on the job, but the basic one, we're going to cover it so that we can bring in CloudFormation. And the reason why I'm bringing CloudFormation is because AWS have a lot of resources out there, a lot of resources. And if you don't know how to use CloudFormation, you can't use those resources. So that is why I'm bringing CloudFormation, so that by the time I'm introducing those resources, or if you see those resources on the job, you can actually use them to make your job, your life easier. They have a lot of resources that have solved the real problem that people have on the job, but they solve those problems using CloudFormation. So if you don't know CloudFormation, you can't use those resources. Then you have to write your own code from scratch, which is not reasonable. All right. The last thing that you need that you should have is a very good internet and browser to browse. A very reliable internet, especially if you're joining me from Nigeria, please try to get a very good internet, because that is the issue I always have with people from Nigeria and other places too. Internet issue, please. And if that does not say those people in America or in Canada doesn't have internet issue, they do. Me myself, at times when I'm attending meeting at work, my internet will just disappear, and I have to change that internet. So make sure you have a very good internet. All right. Class, days, and time. The class are going to be 3 days. We have classes on Wednesday, classes on Saturday, and classes on Sunday. The classes for Wednesday and Saturday is going to be for Cloud Solution Architect. And the classes on Sunday is going to be for the Cloud Cybersecurity, Cloud Security Engineer. The reason why I split it into two, before we always do, when we start with Cloud Solution Architect, until we finish it, then we jump to security. But what I have discovered, and what most of my students normally ask me, is that they get overwhelmed quickly because it's a lot of information. And somebody might like, hey, I remember clearly one of my students asked me in the last batch, like, hey, Yemi, I'm lost. I don't even know which one is solution architect, which one is cloud security engineer. And I have to start explaining, like, hey, we start cloud engineer on so dates. Despite I announced it very well, clearly several times, that, hey, on this date, we're going to start security engineer, but they still get it confused. And also, for those people that are joining me, maybe those that have attended my class before, either working or not working, because majority of my students, I always tell them to rejoin the class because I'm always bringing new things to the class. So majority of them, they already have knowledge in the cloud solution. They just need cybersecurity or cloud security knowledge to broaden their knowledge. But what happened is that they have to wait until we finish solution architect before they can actually get what they need in cloud security. And cloud security has been our major focus. The cloud solution architect is just for you to understand the cloud. But now you can look for a job in both areas. If you want a solution architect, you can look for a job there. If you want cybersecurity, cloud security, you are also good to look for a job there. For the classes on Wednesday, it's going to be 7 to 9 p.m. on Wednesday. And classes on Saturday is going to be 9 a.m. to 12 noon. For breaks, on Wednesday, we don't have break. It's just 2 hours class. I believe you can sit down for that. On Saturday and Sundays, we're going to have 10 minutes break. Initially, the break is always half of the class. I mean, we always have the break once it is half of the class. Like once it is like on 10 or 10:30, we go on 10 minutes break, then we come back, then we finish the class. But also some students say, hey, sitting down for courses for 1 hour, 30 minutes is tedious. Why not bring in, like, let's have 5 minutes break? And so after every 1 hour, we have 5 minute break, then 1 hour, we have 5 minute break. Then it's better that way. You can stretch our leg, you can remind, you can use our memory or something like that. But fine. So that's why I introduced the break. I cut it into 5 minutes. But if you guys see that, oh, this is not reasonable enough, we can go back to what we have before, meaning that 1 hour, 30 minutes, we have break, 10 minutes, then we continue. I will have to pick somebody that will be reminding me, hey, it's break time, because when I'm teaching, I don't remember break. So I will set alarm. I always appoint somebody in the class that, so like, hey, it's going to be break time soon. That is fine. So we go on break. On Sunday, 3 to 6, and the break is going to be between 4 p.m. to 5, then 5 p.m. to 5:05. Please be jotting down your questions so that when I time for questions, you can ask me questions. All right. For the materials for the classes, every materials that we use for this class, you have access to them. You have access to the course materials. You have access to the videos. You have access to the project, and you have access to the knowledge check. And all of this, you have to register on our website for you to have access to that. And I'm going to show you when the times come after the presentation. I'm going to take you to our website where you will get access to all of these. All right, what do you need to start working in the cloud? To become a solution architect or a cybersecurity or cloud security engineer? What do you need? And to be also to succeed in this course, you need to have a knowledge of cloud practitioner. Cloud practitioner, as I said earlier, that I've introduced it into this course just to give you the knowledge, is just for you to know the technologies and services in the cloud. If a client or a customer meets you like, hey, I'm going to currently I have this website, is running on this server, and I think I don't want to manage it anymore. I'm getting tired. I want to take it to the cloud. What service on the cloud can I use? Then you can, with your knowledge of cloud practitioner, you can just tell the person, hey, if this is what you are using currently, then if you want to go to AWS cloud, this is what you use. So that is just the knowledge you need for cloud practitioner, just to know the service and to know the technologies. And for if the client need more, maybe he wants to know about the pricing, they wants to know about the services, how to control costs, how to control security, then that is when we go deep doing solution architect and security engineer. But for cloud practitioner, it's just for you to have the basic knowledge of the service and the technologies. Then there are some AWS technicals, essentials that you need to know. We are going to be covering all of them in the class. I've incorporated them into the class. Because as a cloud solution architect, all you just need to know is understand the services that is available for clients or customers to use on the cloud. As a cloud solution architect, it's not your responsibility to actually go out and deploy those services. But companies these days, they want you to do more than what they pay you for. So that's why they will employ you for cloud solution architect, and they'll be giving you the job of security or the job of cloud engineer. So in order to accommodate that, we've introduced your cloud solution architect will not just be understanding the topic alone, you should also be able to deploy the service via proof of concept. We call it POC, proof of concept. So when you draw the architectural diagram that this is how this service is going to look like, This is what the service that you need in order to still be able to do what you are doing currently on your own data center. Then this is the service you need to use. But you will not stop there, because you can't tell me this is the service that I need to use. What if I use the service, it doesn't work right for me? So that is the reason why, as a solution architect, you need the knowledge to deploy that service before you give the architectural diagram to the client. So if you have already deployed the service before you give the architectural diagram to your client, then you will know where there will be a mistake, and you would have already corrected that in your architectural diagram, or write a documentation on how to correct that for your clients. So other things that you need to have knowledge of is working knowledge of computer hardware and software. Believe me or not, majority of what we do in IT is still just on that same computer, on that same laptop that you use. But the laptop or the computer that we use in an enterprise is more powerful than your own desktop or your own laptop. But the concept, the hardware, the software, they are still the same. So for you to be able to use all this software, all this enterprise software, you need to have a good knowledge of the computer hardware and software. And networking concept, this is the number one thing. Before you go into cloud, your networking concept should be solid. That is the number one thing. If you have done any cloud training before, or you've write AWS exam, you pass, and you still don't have networking concepts, believe me or not, you're going to struggle on the job. Even despite my years of experience, I still have issues. For example, some days back, I was still, okay, let me quickly give you this. We have multiple AWS accounts. Then one account that we have, we deploy some resources in that. Then the another account, we are migrating the resources that we have on-prem, on the premises. If you don't know the meaning of on-prem, we're going to explain what all those is later. So the services that we have currently in on-prem data center, we are migrating them to one of the other accounts. Then the two accounts need to be able to communicate together to send traffics. And also the two accounts need to be able to communicate to our data center. But I manage the account, the two accounts. Somebody has managed how the two accounts need to communicate together. Then another person manage how the two accounts needs to communicate to the on-prem data center. So when I wanted...
Sorry, I like what you talk about. Which they call it? That's like networking you're talking about. That's like collaborating.
Yeah, please, can you hold on? When the time for questions comes, I'm going to open the channels for us to ask questions. All right, thank you. So the issue now is that when I try to connect from my own computer to one of the accounts, it goes successful. Then when I want to connect from my own computer to the other account, it doesn't go through. And the laptop I'm using, which is Office laptop, it's actually linked to the on-prem data center. So what that tells us is that from on-prem data center, I cannot connect to one of the accounts. Then we started troubleshooting. I troubleshoot on my end, trying to check the two accounts. I see that everything is fine. Then I also call the other person that manages the connection between the two AWS accounts. We use Transit Gateway. Don't worry, if you don't know what Transit Gateway is, before the end of the class, you will know it. So we use Transit Gateway, and the person to check his own settings on his own hand, he still couldn't get it right. Then we have to call the other guy that manages the on-prem data center, and we also troubleshoot together. And later, we now discover that the on-prem data center, they do not do the correct link that we allow the on-prem data center to talk to the other AWS accounts, and we now resolve it. And this thing that I just explained now took us 3 months, and we still haven't finished it because we just discovered the problem like some days ago, and they can't just go on there and fix it. They still need to raise what is called a change request in order to change something. You don't just go on this on production environment. If you don't know what production environment, don't worry, we're going to explain all this. You don't just go to production environment and change something there. You need to raise the ticket, like, and your manager have to approve it for you to go ahead and change that thing there. Okay, so if you are listening to me, if you attended my class before, you're looking for a job, what I just gave you now is a scenarios that you can use on the job interview. Like, this is the solution, or if they ask you like a problem that you've encountered when you are working, because that is one of the major interview questions. Tell me about a problem that you've encountered, how you solved it. That is one that you can use. And if you need more details, you can reach out to me later. I'm going to explain it better to you. All right. So networking concepts, you need good knowledge of networking concepts. IP addressing. How do you, if your one system is talking to another system, what actually go in between that? How do you able, or how are you able from your own laptop, type something in google.com and something shows on your system? How all of this happen? So all that, we're going to be discussing them in the class. Then multi-tier architecture. When you go to amazon.com, you see a fine dress. You click on it, you buy it. What happened? Behind the scene, there's a lot of things that happens behind the scene. The one where you go to from your own laptop, you open a browser and you type amazon.com, you press enter. That is called the front end. That is like the first tier. Then when you put your credit card and you press enter, it roll, then it says successful. That rolling, something is going on. And that actually is happening at the application layer. That is where they are processing your credit card. They are comparing it with the credit card company that you use, whether it is a correct thing. So all those things, you don't see them, but it's actually happening behind the scene. That is called the application layer, and that is the tier 2, the second tier. Why the third tier is that when you submit your order, they say your order is successful, we are processing your order, you will receive your order on so date. They store your information, your address, the order you buy or you bought. They store it in their own database so that they can process it and ship your items to you. And when the item is shipped to you, they mark it complete. That is happening at the back end, which is normally the database. That is where your data are stored. So those are 3 tiers or multi-tier architecture. A company can use multiple tier. We call it N-tier architecture. It depends, but the major one out there is 3-tier architecture. But you see company that is using 4-tier, 5-tier, 6-tier. But instead of mentioning 5-tier, 4-tier, 10 tiers architecture, we just say N-tier architecture. All right, then you need to understand cloud computing concepts. All this, we're going to learn them in the class. Please be putting your questions, be jotting them down so that we address all of them at the same time. All right, I told you earlier, if you go back one slide, that I'm going to show you everything about computer. All this, you need good knowledge of them. So if you don't have knowledge of them, don't bother, because guess what? We're going to be introducing all of them before we even start cloud. So you will have the good general knowledge of computer. What is a computer? If you go to computer, or somebody send a video or an image to you on your computer or through an email, and you open that image, what happened? Something happened behind the scene, because to my own knowledge and what I brought up with, we are told that computer only understands zeros and one, and that is absolutely true. Everything you will see, if you see an image like this, by the time you start expounding or zooming out that image, you will see that the quality will start fading, That is to tell you that the computer is actually using zeros and one behind the scene. But the computer also processes that image and it displays it for you to see in a GUI or in an image type. So all of this, don't worry, you're going to learn about that. You're going to learn about computer software, and under this, we're going to be talking about operating systems. We're going to learn about computer hardware, the processor, the storage, the memory card, and the CPU or the network card and the likes. So all of this, we're going to learn about that. Database and data centers. I've mentioned data centers the other time. What is data center? Even if you don't know anything about cloud itself is a data center. And what is a data center? Just somewhere where you put all your computers or your electronics device. So if I have one laptop, I can put that laptop in my office. If I have, maybe now I run a business, I can't use laptop again, I have to use enterprise server. Then I can put that server in my office. But guess what? It's just one. That is fine. I can manage it. It's just one. But when I grow, if I have like thousands of server or hundreds of server, I can't put them in my office. I need to go and rent a warehouse and put all of them there and connect them. And from there, I will be using that. That warehouse that I rented is called a data center. And if I think that the process is too tedious for me, I can't continue managing my own data center, guess what? I can sell it and talk to another person that is doing the same thing I'm doing. Like, hey, can I be using your data center? I don't run a lot of projects. It's just a very minor thing. So I can use a spare time of your data center or of your computers. Anytime you are not working on it, I can work on it. That process of me using another person's data center, that is cloud. That is what we call cloud computing, which means somebody else is delivering IT services to me over the network. And that is definitions of cloud computing. So all of this, you're going to be learning them gradually. And after every course, I'm going to be introducing knowledge checks to make sure that you actually understand the concept. And majority of this knowledge check, they are previously asked questions on AWS. So if you have done AWS knowledge, AWS exam before this, or you are going to do AWS exam, these are the questions, the likely questions that will be coming out in your exams. So the objective of the introduction to computer and networking, you need that to be able to recognize the main hardware elements of a server or a personal computer. What I mean is the objective, why are we doing this? The objective or the purpose for doing this computer and networking course is for you to be able to recognize the hardware elements of a server or a personal computer. You also need that to explain how hardware components in a computer collaborate, how they join together and execute a command or produce an output to your input. When you go to your system, you type something, or you go to your system, you open a video, you watch a video, all these things are actually the work of both your computer hardware and software. So how do all of this works together? Then you should also know what is an operating system. So that will also give you knowledge of an operating system. The computer is full of hardware. You can't, as a human being, you can't use this hardware by yourself. Although you can, some people can use hardware now, but majority of people, this hardware is not useful to us. So we need something that can come in between us as a human being and this hardware. And that thing that comes in between us, that takes what the human being puts to the computer and take it, translate it to the language that the computer hardware understands, which is zeros and one, binary. So it takes that, it processes it, and give it to the hardware. Then when the hardware is returning response, is giving back response to what we put in, the operating system also take that and produce it in a way that will make sense for me. Just imagine if I'm talking to a hardware that is only understands zeros and one. That means if I want to save an image, I have to convert that image to 0001, 01, zeros and one. I don't have that time for that. I can give that image to the operating system. The operating system convert that image to the language that the hardware understand, which is zeros and one, and it stores it. And when the hardware, when I need my image back, if I tell the hardware to give me my image back, it doesn't send it to me directly. You send it to the operating system. The operating system turns it from zeros and one to image, which I can see. So that is how operating system comes in between the user and the hardware. So recognizing some elements of computer networking, such as cable, switch, and router. We are not going to be going extremely into that detail because this class is not for networking, but these are the basic things that you need if you want to go out there and say, hey, I have 5 years of experience in computer, I have 10 years of experience in IT. These are all what you need to be able to prove that, oh, you've been working in IT for some years. All right, finally, I'm going to be describing the roles of data center or data in a network. You need to understand what a network is, and it's easy to understand. So we're going to understand the network, the roles of the data in the network, and how data center operates in the cloud. So we are almost 10 p.m., 10 a.m. now. So I'm going to go on 5 minutes break. Once it is 10:05, we will come back and continue. But before I go, do anybody have questions for me?
Yeah, no Vic. So I was just trying. It's like trying to connect two routers together so they can, transfer whatever message you're transferring to them to send to wherever you're sending it. That's what I was trying to explain earlier.
Okay, so yeah, I appreciate that. But also, this is what I will say to quickly bring this out in the class, especially for my old students. And this is one of the complaints that I received after the class ended. And this information is majorly for my old student, not the current student. And for some current students that are already good, because I have a lot of people that they already know AWS, they just want to brush up their knowledge. If we are discussing a particular topic in the class, let your question only be on what we are discussing in the class. Do not bring something that we've discussed in the whole class or something that you learned years ago to the class, because a lot of people feel intimidated. And that is one of the complaints I've seen. And also, if we are discussing anything in the class or you want to ask a question, please try to first reduce it to the knowledge that somebody that is just learning the cloud will understand. Don't go and be using some big grammar that will make somebody think that they are not learning anything. So those are all what I need to bring in. But if you are new in the learning and you are learning something, no question is a stupid question for you to ask. But I quickly have to say that. I quickly have to say that because I know some people will now, the challenges they are facing on the job, they will now be bringing in, and that is the complaint that I received, that when people are giving me feedback like, hey, some people in the class, because they already done the class before, they're already working, and when they ask questions, it's like I'm totally don't even know where I am. So please, this is majorly for my old students. Please limit your questions to what we are discussing currently. If you have any questions that you think the current student might benefit from, please talk to me. Let me discuss it. Then I know how to break it down or how to bring it in when the time comes. All right. If there's no other question, please let's go on break. We come back 10:05. Thank you, guys.
I mean, no vex. So sorry if you before you go. Me, I'm not intimidated though. I want to learn, man. You get me? I want to know everything you know, so I
All right.
can mix it in. So no vex, I beg.
No, it's not first. I'm just quickly, because when you say that, I now say, okay, this is the best opportunity, because if I don't say it now, I may forget. So I may forget. So that's why I was like, okay, let me just bring it out now. No, I'm not annoyed with you, Chiba, and nothing like that. Okay.
I won't learn, I beg. I won't collaborate
All right.
because
Break time.
uh, eh,
Are we back? Yes or no?
I am.
Okay, you are the only one that is bad. Do you guys need 1 more minute?
I would say next time.
Here.
I would say next time we just have something like a timer to say exactly what time we come back.
Oh, don't mind me. I always have that.
Okay.
I just totally forgot this time around. We always set up a time.
Okay.
Yeah, we always set up a time. All right. Possibly I've seen somebody that helped me to manage time. All right. So let's proceed. Please, if you are not talking, mute yourself. All right. So next, the cloud practitioner course contents. These are what we're going to cover under cloud practitioner. And don't forget, the objective of cloud practitioner is just to validate high knowledge understanding of cloud or AWS cloud and the services and the technologies. I said this earlier, is not for you to go out and say, hey, I've learned cloud practitioner, I'm now a solution architect. Majority of the time, when somebody reach out to me like, hey, Yemi, I'm actually looking for a job in AWS, I have my cloud practitioner, I'm looking for a job. I always tell them, your cloud practitioner is not meant for you to look for a job. It's just to give you a basic understanding. It's not that you can't use it to say, oh, you have cloud knowledge. You can do that, but it's not meant for you to now say, oh, because of cloud practitioner, you now know AWS, because they are just introducing you to the topic. They are not giving you an in-depth knowledge about the topic. It's just like I say, oh, internet, somebody asked me what is internet, then I just tell them, okay, internet is just for me to be able to connect to the outside world. That is just a mere terminology, it's just a mere definition, but it does not tell me how internet works. It does not give me a good knowledge of what internet compose or the components of internet, like the router, the switch, the hubs and things like that. I mean, of networking. It doesn't go all those networking routes. So it's just major definition. So the cloud practitioner course content. We're going to look at the course overview and objective. We're going to introduction to AWS web services. And all these AWS web services, we're going to be taking them by categories. You have some services that they are for networking. You have some services that they are for database. You have some services that are for security, some services for monitoring and analysis, there's some services for price and support, some services for migration and integrations. So we're going to be looking all of these services that you can use in AWS. And we're also going to introduce you to the compute in the cloud. Compute in the cloud, then how do AWS set up? How do AWS set up their data centers? And under this, if you want to learn how AWS set up their data center, then you're going to be learning about cloud infrastructure, AWS global infrastructure and reliability. Because AWS have a lot of data centers, and each of these data centers, they group them together and they call them names. So that if you want to use a particular data center, you have to use some that is closer to you, or you can use some that is far away. So in one of the courses, we're going to be discussing what are the circumstances for choosing a particular data center. So we're going to be discussing all those later. So, and as I explained earlier, the objective of Cloud Practitioner is just to validate high-level understanding of the cloud. Then after that, we're going to, so for those that will now go to, so before I proceed, if you are doing class, everybody from Monday, Tuesday, because Cloud Practitioner is just going to be for few weeks, maybe 3 weeks, or not going to be, I mean, maybe 4 classes, which is 1 month. I mean, it's not going to be 1 month, just few classes, like three classes or 4 classes maximum. And everybody will attend this class Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then after that, you have basic knowledge. Then those that want to study cloud solution architect can focus on solution architect, which is going to be on Wednesday and on Saturday. Then those that want to study cloud security will be on Sundays. But if you think you have the capacity for everything, you are welcome. That means you have to attend classes Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. And I believe you should. I only break it down so that for those people that think that the knowledge is too overwhelming for them, they just want to focus, then they don't have to attend all the classes. And they don't have to also wait for one class to finish, because now the class is separate. So you don't have to wait for solution architect to finish before they start learning security. They can continue learning side by side. And we do this in schools. We have people that do 4 courses, 5 courses, even 12 courses at times at the same time. So I'm bringing you back to school. So for the topic we're going to cover under solution architect, we're going to understand the architecting foundationals. We're going to understand the accounts, AWS account management and security. When you are managing accounts on AWS, how do you manage it? A lot of us, we have only single accounts. If you don't know anything about AWS, we're still going to I'm going to show you how to create your own account. But company out there, you will not see any company, or I don't think there is any company out there that use one AWS account. Majorly minimum 2. And some company, maybe fresh startup, they may use one AWS account, but it's not really, they are not going to enjoy the benefits of the cloud if they only use one account. So when company uses more than one account, how do they manage these accounts? How do they manage it? If you are using one account, it's easy to manage. But if you now start using, because I have one of you that works in a company that use almost 100 accounts, if a government organization, they use 100 accounts. So if you are managing one AWS account, it's easy to manage. Now, if you are managing 5, 10, 20 AWS accounts, it starts becoming complex. So you want to optimize that management. So that is why we're going to be discussing account management and security. Then still coming back to the same basic networking on AWS, you're going to be building on the networking concept that you gain in the cloud, in the introduction to computer and networking. You're going to be building on that to understand deep how this networking knowledge that you have in this place, the networking knowledge that you have here, we're going to build on it. And I will now show you how that same networking works on AWS. Because majority of what we're learning is still on your normal computer, your physical computer. But now, since you don't have the physical computer again, which is now virtual computer, so all those hardware, they are still on the virtual computer. So you need to understand how those hardware now works. Then after that, we're going to be looking at compute on AWS, storage on AWS, database on AWS, database services on AWS. Then we're going to look at the automation with CloudFormation. In the previous class, we do automation with Terraform, but this time around, I'm introducing automation with CloudFormation. So then container services like the ECR and ECS. ECRs, if those of you that know container, the container, those of you that know Docker. So when you know Docker is when you have a container, then if you want to store your image, you store it in what's it called, the Docker Hub. So the Docker Hub to you on-prem is what the AWS have a service that can do exactly that thing, and that service is called the AWS ECR. So when we get there, we talk about this cloud services. Then advanced networking. This is when we are going to be talking about how do you make one account to be able to send traffic to the other account, and how do you be able to send traffic from your own current data center to the cloud. How do you join two networks together? So those are under advanced networking. And that's when I was discussing, when I told you that we're having issues to match multiple accounts together, that falls under advanced networking. Then serverless services on AWS. This is where we're going to be talking about some SNS, some SQS, and things like that. Initially, we talk about all of these courses, but I don't really put them where they belong. I just teach all of them down, but this time around, I'm separating them so that when somebody asks you on job interview that what is your knowledge about serverless architecture, then you can start talking that, okay, these are the serverless architecture or serverless services I've used in the cloud. Then we're going to be talking about edge services. Edge services are those services that move AWS closer to you. And we're going to be talking about Route 53. For those of you that know what Route 53 is, we're going to be talking about Route 53, and we're going to be talking about CloudFront, which is for content management. If you have clients, maybe as I'm in Kansas now, if I have a business and the business, if it is for people in Kansas, then I can have my server in Kansas. But what if my business is actually in Kansas, but the people I'm serving, they are in India? Then if I put my server in Kansas, they will have, whenever they are connecting to my data center or whenever they are connecting to my app, it's going to be a little bit slow for them. So in order for it not to be slow, I need to move that server to India so that it can be closer to them. But instead of me doing this, moving my server from Kansas to India, there are services that I can use to make that service, to make that server closer to those people in India. And that is what we call content delivery. And the service that AWS provide for this is called the CloudFront. We're going to be learning about all of that. Then backup and recovery. You always have to back up your data, and there are multiple ways to back up data. We're going to be looking at some of them. We have data sync that can just take your data and send it to S3. Maybe the data you have on the server, you can send it to an S3, or there are some what we call offsite data migration, and they're also used for data backup. AWS will send you a trailer that will help you to move your data, and you will go and save it in the cloud. Those are under, you can use them for backup. You can also, they can also come under migration, cloud migration, migrating your data to the cloud. One thing that I always enjoy to do most is cost optimization. A lot of people are using clouds. So let me quickly tell you this story. There was a time in my office that when we have resources on AWS, at the end of the day, we are spending like $2,000 for a particular service. And suddenly, because we employ a lot of people, we are doing a lot of work, and that service started from 2,000, we started paying almost 5,000, and it starts increasing like that. Then my manager was also concerned. I was also concerned too, but we know that this is what is causing the price because we are doing a lot of work. Then in order to reduce that price, we are doing a lot of investigation. Then I now discovered that, okay, there are things that they're supposed to do when they set up the account that they don't do. and then I now configure this service. That service is actually called the VPC gateway the VPC endpoints, which is VPC gateway endpoints. For those of people that know what I'm talking about, then this service, instead of our service to be going in this direction, it changed to this direction, and because of that, we reduce what is always like 5,000, 6,000 on a daily basis before, has to reduce drastically to less than 1,000 in a day, and that's a lot of savings. And there are some services, a lot of people that have services on the cloud, when they provision, they think that, oh, I'm going to be using a lot of things, but they forget that this is not on-prem. They are now in the cloud, which means they can increase services anytime they want. But because of the mentality of on-prem, what they are doing before, they still bring that to the cloud. And as a result of that, they do what we call over-provisioning. It's just like you want to buy a house, because initially, when you are coming from your village, all of you stay in the same house. So it's a lot of people. And when you come to America, you think that it's going to be the same. You now buy a very big house. But now you don't have anybody to sleep there. You don't have anybody to use there. They are just getting wasted. So there are things that we can do on the cloud to reduce this, so that when you need a lot of service, you can buy them on the go instead of buying them down and you are not using them. So we use all of this to reduce our cost. And if you know about cost optimization, I bet your manager is going to love you, because every company loves to reduce cost. So we're going to look at other storages in the cloud, CI/CD pipeline. What are the CI/CD pipeline? We are not DevOps. This class is not DevOps. So for those of you that have already attended DevOps before, don't bring all those complex questions for us. We just need to understand services on the cloud that you can use for DevOps. We are not going to be configuring any DevOps on this thing, but major solution architect is just for you to understand a service that when a customer presents a problem or a challenge they're having currently, you can recommend a service for them on AWS. Majority of the service, you also need to be able to configure them, which I call proof of concept, but they are not, there are some services that you don't have to, because they are complex and you don't want to waste your time on that. I'm going to be looking at some projects. As I said earlier, objective of Cloud Solution Architect is just to identify various services provided by AWS Web Services, and you can identify them. You can also compare their features, because each services has a lot of features. So you should be able to identify these services. You should be able to identify the features they have, and you should be able to do the best practice. For example, when you are managing access to the cloud, because your company has AWS accounts, they might say, hey, you, Chima, you're going to be managing access. Anybody that wants to use this service, you'll be managing their access. So it's now less for you as a solution architect to know the services that AWS provide for you to manage more users' access. And these services are many of them. So you should be able to know, okay, this is the kind of access that I want to manage now. Then this is the kind of service to use. That is the work of solution architects. Then you should also know the best practices. So if you are giving somebody access to log into an account, then you can say, okay, then for you to log in an account, I'm going to create a user for you. But what happened if that user mismanage their username and password? That means somebody that do not supposed to have access to your account will have access to your account. So in order for you to prevent that, you might introduce what we call multi-factor authentication. That means a lot of people that have bank accounts, you have this. When you log in to your app on your system, they say, oh, before you can sign you in, they will send you a token. Then you have to input the token before you can sign it. That is multi-factor authentication. We're going to be discussing that. So, and the final one is the cloud cybersecurity, cloud security engineer. So the topic we are covering under this is security overview. You need to understand, you need to have a security mindset before you can be very good in security. Then you're going to learn how to manage access and authorization on AWS. Your company have AWS accounts. They have a lot of employees, and those employees need access to the AWS accounts. How do you give them access to those AWS accounts? If it is one person, it's easy to manage, but what if you are managing thousands of users? Then it becomes complex, and that is when we are going to be introducing what is called Active Directory or Okta or OneLogin or cyber hack. So those are where those services are being used. So for you to manage users' access. Then how do you manage accounts and provision accounts? We discussed this under solution architect, but we are going to be looking at the security elements of how to manage accounts. When you have multiple accounts, then you want to create users in those accounts. Then do you have to go to every account to create users? Okay, what if you actually create users in those accounts and you want to give them permission? Because the process of creating a user is what we refer to as authentication. If I give you authentication to come to my house, does that give you the permission to come and do anything you want in my house? Absolutely nothing. So if I give you permissions to come to my house, then we also have to give you the permission to do something, maybe the permission to sleep in my house. A lot of you have friends, and the friends, you can say, hey, then because we are friends, you can come to my house anytime you want, but he now comes to my house, then he wants to sleep. Those are two different things. I have to give you the permission to come to my house. Then if you want to sleep, I have to give you a separate permission. But if I don't give you the permission to sleep in my house, you have to go back. So the process of giving somebody permission to sleep in your house, that is what we refer to as authorization. So you're going to learn what is called identification, authentication, authorization, and non-repudiation. Non-repudiation is when somebody do something and they deny that they don't do it. So how do you know that you are the one that actually do this? Then that is the process of non-repudiation. You can't deny that you do something. So we're going to be talking about key management and encryption. On AWS and companies generally, data is key. A company generates a lot of data, and this data, they use it to make decisions. They use it to do a lot of things. So how do you prevent those data so that it doesn't get into wrong people's hand? How do you make sure those data are secured? So we're going to be learning about data security, key management, and how do you manage secrets on AWS, cloud infrastructure, and edge protection. A lot of things to learn, and all of this, we already have videos for them. So don't think that this is a new thing. We have videos for them in the last batch, in the previous batch. You keep watching them. But what I just do this time around, I try to make sure that anything you're learning, you know that when somebody asks you, do you know this? You don't have to think like, hey, have I know this? Because they are now well categorized. So here are all the objectives that you need to, after you take that cybersecurity class, these are all what you should be able to do. You should be able to understand what a CIA means. This is any cybersecurity interview you are doing, they tend to ask this question: what's your knowledge of CIA? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality simply means you should not let somebody that do not, or don't disclose your data or your resources to somebody that do not have authorization for it. Then integrity, it just means make sure that somebody do not modify your data. An unauthorized person should not be able to modify your data. And availability, make sure that your data is available for people that need access to them. Please, if you are not talking, can you mute yourself? Then we're going to create, how do you create? You're going to learn how to create and analyze authentication, authorization. I mentioned this earlier. You're going to be able to manage and provision accounts on AWS. You're going to be able to identify how to manage secrets using AWS. And all of these, those are what should be in your resume. So after you attend the class, if you don't even know how to write resume, just come here, put all of this on your resume, because these are what you already know. So how are we going to deploy the class? Every class or every module, I'm going to start with a business challenge. I'm going to start with a business challenge. This business challenge can be a request from a manager or a client. Like a manager might be telling you that, hey, we have a lot of users now. And I think the current way we are managing these users is going to be complex, or is not going to be it's not going to be scalable with time. So can you provide us a way where we can start using now, or can you provide us something that we can start using now that will make it to be more scalable in future time, or that is not going to be extremely complex? Or another business request might be, hey, we have a lot of data from our client these days, and I know that these data are not backup. Can you find us a solution on AWS that we can use to back up all of this data? So those are the likely business challenge. So now, you that do not have clue about what this is, then you're going to attend the class, you're going to make research, you're going to learn, and at the end of the day, you check your knowledge. So after the class, after the learning, so the business challenge, I will introduce the business challenge, we discuss about it, then we will look at the topic that is actually, or that you need to learn to solve that business challenge. So once you understand the topic that you need to learn to solve the business challenge, and you learn that topic, then you should now be able to solve that business challenge when somebody asks you. So if business challenge is introduced, you don't have a clue, you learn that topic, then you check your knowledge to solidify what you've learned, then you can now go back and present solutions to that business challenge. So this is the route that we're going to be taking. So before we do meet and greet, because I would like to know everybody, you tell me your name, your location, if you're already in IT, if you're already in IT, which roles are you currently working on? I want to know those people that are currently in IT, because by the time I want to divide you into groups, I don't want to put everybody in IT in the same group. I want to mix you together so that you can learn or help other people that is in IT. Then you're also going to tell us your cost expectation and your AWS experience. But before we do that, this is the end of the slide. This is the end of the slide. But before we do this, I also want to introduce you to this website, TheCornelis Inc., training.TheCornelis Inc. This is our website. This is where every course, content, material, recorded videos, this is where you are going to have access to them. I will post the link to the Telegram. I post the link to the Telegram. Oh, wait. Yeah, I think I post the link to the Telegram. So if you go to that website, you just need to register. So the first thing I want you to do here, once you registered on this, let me see if I can show you. I'm going to bring in a new slide because I already logged in on that and I don't want to log out. So I'm going to just go to the training.thecornelis.com. Then this is where you register for the bash. But once you register, that is how we get your information. But now, if you want to have an account, you have to click on accounts. You register here to have an account there. And when you already have an account, you log in. So now, once you log in, let me see if I can create accounts. I'm going to use my username as OMA, and I'm just going to use my email at email.com. I'm going to set a password. So make sure your password is secure, but I just use basic thing for now. So I'm going to register. I'm going to save this. Then it's going to take me into the account. So for me to have access to the course, you go to cost list. When you click on the cost list, it brings out majority of our courses. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. So those ones that are free, like this cloud migration is free, you can just enroll in it, enroll, then it takes you to enroll is free. Now you have access to that course. Then you can go and watch the course, but just click here and you can watch the course. But if you want to buy a course, especially for this current batch, this is what you click on. Cloud, AWS Solution Architect and Cloud Cybersecurity, and this is the price. For the old classes, if you have paid, if you register for this course, I'm going to go from the backend, also give you access to this. So, but if you only want access to this, then you have to pay. So when you click on this, this is the previous batch. So these are all what we covered on the previous batch. And these are the topic I was telling you that we already covered them. So you don't have any excuse not to go and watch them before the class. So for the current class, before you have access to the video, because every class we record the video, before you have access to the video, the study materials, the project, then you have to come here and buy this course. So the process of buying, if you have sent money to me directly, you still need to do the same thing. So you need to add this course to the cart. Once you add the course to the cart, then go to view cart. So now, if you want to pay once, then just proceed either with your card or your paper. I always preferred card and not paper because paper will deduct me a lot of money and it doesn't make sense for me. Though card also deducts, but paper deducts too much. So if you are paying once, just fill in your information and pick whether you are paying through paper or you are paying through card. If you already send money to me, maybe directly through Zelle, then you have to come here, click on cash. So when you click on cash and you submit, it's going to notify me that somebody that paid cash has registered. Then I have to go to the backend and authorize you. Then that's when you have access to it. But if you want to use Zelle, when you click on Zelle, it's going to show you the Zelle information. Then you can use this Zelle information to Zelle me your money. If you are paying once, that is for paying those people that are paying once. If you want to do payment plan, then you have to check payment plan. Then you have to choose the payment plan that you want. If you want to pay 500 every 2 weeks, then that is by week 4 times payment plan. If you want to pay twice, that is twice. And you can see when you are paying twice, the price reduced to 19, which is 950. But if you are paying 4 times, it's 2,000. Then you have to pay 500. Then from there, you can fill in your information. So that is you have to do this. Everybody have to do this before you have access to the class. If you already pay cash or you are sending money, you have already paid to Zelle, then you have to go to Zelle. You have to do cash. You have to do cash. That is when you will have access to the class. So But if you already use pay like this before, maybe you have paid an order like this before, then you don't have to come back here and do it because it has already automatically give you access to the class. Now, let's go to access to the class. So I'm going to go back here. So if you go to the cost list, if you already have access to the class, if you go to the cost list and you click on this, so after you have access to the video, after you bought the class, so now, for the recorded videos every day, when you come to this, when you click on, let me go back, when you come to the website, you click on the cost list and go to this course here, AWS Solution Architect and Cloud Cybersecurity. I will make it, I will go and adjust this so that I can put January 2024 there. So you know that this is for this current class. So when you open the current class, then if you scroll down, you will see the days. So this is day 1. After this class, I'm going to put the recording under this place. So when you come here, you just click on it and you watch, you can have access to that video. We are not seeing anything now because there is no, we don't have the recording yet. Then, if there is materials, then you will also see the materials here for this day 1. If there is projects, you will also see it here for this day 1. After these first 2-3 days, if you want to join the live class, you also have to come here. So I'm not going to be sending Zoom link out to you. So if you need the Zoom link, just come here. You will see join the class, that day class. You will see for today's class, you will come here now. You see join introductory live section. When you click on this, it's going to show you the Zoom link. Then you can just join the Zoom link from here. You won't be seeing start because this is me at the back end as the owner. That's why I'm saying start meeting. But you will see the join Zoom link. So when you click on this join Zoom link, then it will take you directly to where you join the Zoom link. So now, don't expect any link. Because a lot of people will say, hey, Yemi, I don't join the class because I didn't see the Zoom link. Before, I always send the Zoom link to the Telegram. So now I'm not sending the Zoom link to the Telegram. Just come here, and you will see the Zoom link for every class. Also, this is everything about this website. Also, I'm introducing, if you have not joined the Telegram, please join this Telegram because this is where I put all the information. If you have a question, you put it here, somebody will attend to you or I attend to you myself. So I'm going to also put the link for people that have not joined before. So also join. I'm going to say copy link. I'm going to put that link in the chat of this training. So you can just click on that link. So when you join, you will also, let me also put the website there. And that is where, before, that's where I put the link. So at times for this class, the next class, and the Wednesday class, I will still put the link there. I'll put the link here, and you still also see the link where I just showed you. But after the first 3-day class, I'm not going to be putting the link here again. So you have to be using that to have access to the class. So I think that is everything I have to discuss today. So now, do you guys want the introduction before the questions and answer, or do you want question and answer first before introduction? I will want the introduction phase. I actually want to meet you. Please, if you can join the camp, join the camp. I'm going to appreciate people, because before, a lot of people doesn't like to join camp, and it's always me that few people going to be seeing every day. And at times when somebody is reaching out to me or I meet them on the road, I don't even know they are my student. There's a lot of people that I know for almost 3 years now that have started, 2 years plus, that have started the training. I never see their face for once. So please, if you can join the camp is always advisable. So I know that you are not sleeping, you are not being distracted. A lot of people, when we're in the class, they are doing something else, and they just come back and they see that we're discussing something interesting, and they start asking questions. So, and they are not on the camp before. So please, if you can join the camp, join the camp. Me personally, I would prefer the introduction before the question and answer. But if you want to ask me a question, it's now time for question and answer. Then after that, we will do introduction. And if you don't want to introduce yourself, there is no problem about that, but I actually want to meet my student. You're going to be together for 4 months, so it makes sense to know who I'll be dealing with. All right, any question for me? Question and answer now. Question and answer. Yeah.
Auntie,
Somebody want to ask me a question, or if there's no question, then we go to question and answer. We go to introduction. All right. So, introduction. So, I'm just going to be calling. If nobody answer, I'll just call you. So, see, so it's not, I'm not asking you your age or something like that. Just your name, where you're joining us from. Do you have experience in IT? If yes, what role? If you don't have experience in IT, that is fine. Or if you don't currently work in IT, that is fine. I believe everybody have experience in IT. What is your course expectation? And so you need to have a course expectation, so that at the end of the day, you ask yourself, have I achieved why I'm here? And do you currently have AWS knowledge? If yes, what is it? So that I know whether you're going to be taking the class, teaching part of the class, because I actually want people to teach part of the class. It's getting boring for only me to talk for the whole 4 months. I can tell you that. So, or anybody want to go? Anybody?
Yeah, I can go first then.
All right.
Okay, my name is Shegun Adenuga, and my location presently is Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
Already nice.
Where is your face? We can't see your face.
All right. You see there, you got to see your face.
Let me see. I'm coming, please.
Okay, go ahead. If you're in a place that is not convenient for you to show your face,
I'm trying to show my face. I don't know if you can see me now.
Yeah, we can see your forehead.
Oh, okay. So I said my location is Dallas, Texas. Already 90 years, and the role I have experience in IT audits.
Okay.
My course expectation, I am actually trying to diversify into cybersecurity and cloud security majorly, and so that's why I'm here. At the end of this program, I wish to be a professional to the core when it comes to cybersecurity as regards cloud majorly. And do I have AWS experience? None for now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shegun. I'm putting names of those people that I know that actually do this, because I'm going to tell you, I tend to ask people And I tend to, I ask everybody questions, but I tend to, like every class, I always have somebody that I always use as main topic. Like every question that I want to give example, I always mention that person's name. So if you don't do this, you are out of it. So oh yeah, let's anyone next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
My name is Cheta Chopulo. I'm currently in Dallas, Texas. I'm already in IT. I'm a BI developer. I build reports and interact with the database. My course expectation is to become a cloud guru and major in cloud security. And for AWS experience, I don't have experience in AWS, but I've taken the cloud practitioner course, and I think I'm already certified in it too.
Okay.
Can we see your face? Know who's talking? Something.
Let me see.
Thank you, man.
I have multiple screens, so my camera is.
Oh, I see you. Okay.
All right. Peter, thank you. All right. I have Peter, I have Shegun. Next. Please don't be shy. You can I don't know anybody as shy as I am.
I am a rookie. That's finished.
Okay. Thank you, Chima. So don't be shy. I can tell you categorically that there's nobody here that is as shy as I am at some point. But when I get into IT, I learn it in a very hard way. The first time, because when they are doing meeting, I'm always trying to go there. When somebody is talking, I don't look at their face. So before you know it, I lose the job. You can't be in IT and work by yourself. You have to be joining meeting, you have to be talking in meeting. And the only place you can develop that is here, when nobody is people of the same caliber, nobody know more than you. You are here because you don't know, and you are free to ask questions. But if you got a job now and you are afraid to talk in the meeting, or you are talking, you are shaking, all those things, they will know that you lied about what you said you know. And before you know it, all attention will be on you. And the only place you can build that confidence, the only time you can build that that level of interaction that you will require, or that will require at work, is now, when you don't know. And gradually, when you start talking in this kind of meeting, before you know it, you'll be able to talk in general meeting. Now I can host meeting, I can organize meeting in the office, because I now discover that if you want to make way in IT, you need to start speaking up. You need to start mingle with people. You need to start reaching out. And there's one thing in IT that's always on job resume. If you have not seen it before, go and look at it today. They will say you will have to work in cross team. You will work in cross team. It's not going to be only the team that you belong, you're going to work. You're going to be working with other people in other teams. And if you don't learn how to do this now, it's going to be tedious for you. So please, be free. If it's your family, I'm always open to learn from you. I'm not saying that I know everything. It's my friend here, Paul. Majority of the time when I'm saying something, maybe I'm not getting it right, or something is different, Paul will chip in. It's like, I think this, and I always appreciate that. So please, you don't know everything. I don't know everything now. So please, just, all right, anybody else?
Yeah, I can go.
All right.
My name is Nelson Okoro.
Yeah.
My location is New Jersey. I don't know anything about AWS or whatever. I'm in the health sector, so but I'm always curious. I always want to learn. And
okay.
both are into IT. So I've always loved IT. It's just, parents would always want you to go towards health and, so.
Yeah. So you can also be in IT and still be working in F. Like the company I work for currently, we are in F sector. So company tends to employ, maybe they tend to employ somebody that's already in F sector, or they have that knowledge if they are looking for somebody in IT. So it's a very welcome idea. Thank you, Nelson.
I can go. My name is Chris, Christopher or Chris Orji. I'm an engineer, electrical engineer. A couple of years ago, I've always liked IT. So a couple of years ago, I took like a software development bootcamp. I didn't really like that bootcamp, so I ended up starting teaching myself. And I thought about teaching myself this. I have zero experience in Amazon, AWS, or cloud, because I know they are the big three: Amazon, AWS, Azure, and Google. So if you work in the IT is something that connects. Whether you're a developer, you still have to work with cloud and all those stuff. So trying to teach yourself is not easy. I have done that and I don't have the time for that. So I decided to be like, you know what, let somebody teach me. And I hope to get as much knowledge from this process so that I can, I can be good enough to work in the area. So I'm an engineer, but I'm trying to get into IT. So I'm kind of like teaching myself, and hopefully with you, I can see that you have a very good or a vast knowledge in cloud. So I hope to learn everything that I can from this bootcamp. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We have something similar because myself, I was a software developer before. I attended coding bootcamp, and I can tell you it's like waste of time and waste of time. And then I do self-study, and self-study too.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. Let me lie to you. Because one problem with one thing that I discovered with self-study is that one, you learn too much of unnecessary things.
Exactly.
Secondly, you end up in tutorial hell. Tutorial hell is when you just keep learning. You see this, you consume it. You see this, you consume it. You see this, you consume it. And before you know it, you know too much of things. You know a lot of things, but there is no concrete expertise. And when you are looking for a job, you are everywhere. So there's nothing you talk in the IT that I don't know. When you talk about digital development, digital marketing, I'm there. When you talk about Facebook marketing, all those marketing, when you talk about UI, US, I know things. When you talk about service now, I'm there. When you talk about IT audits, I'm there. When you talk about Scrum, I'm there. A lot of things. And all these, I learned them when I was self-taught as a software developer. So when I attend any job interview and they ask me questions I don't know, or I see a particular something like, oh, we need somebody that know about VMware, I have to go and start learning it. So I was everywhere until I met or I get a mentor that told me that you don't do that. You have to specialize. Then he started putting me through. And that's when I announced that mentor is extremely good.
Yeah, and also to add on to that, it's always good to learn from somebody that has been doing it before. So you get to the point, because the information is broad. So if you're teaching yourself and you don't know, you're all over the place. But if you have someone that has the experience, it can get you to the point easily. So
exactly, you are right.
And sometimes too, you get experience from them, like what you said in the first hours. We can take that as one of our criteria and experience.
An experience, exactly. So mentorship is what I always recommend. I'm charging you not for the course. If I have to charge you for my course, I'm going to charge you more than that. I'm charging you for the mentorship. Yeah. I've seen some of my students like, hey, I know you're giving more than what you charge, but how do you manage? I was like, it's not about the money, it's how many people that can get jobs through me. That is where my return comes in. So if you are a mentor or you kind of like to study, self-study is good, but please, 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 please don't do it by yourself. If you want to do self-study, find somebody to mentor you so that they can put you through, as Chris always said earlier, so that you can be on a straight path. You need to know what to learn.
Yeah.
Don't just assume everything. Someone else, anybody else? Okay.
My name is Oluchi NW Caesar, so I am currently in, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in Denver, Colorado. I'm currently working in the end user computing. And my course expectation is to acquire knowledge and experience becoming a cloud security engineer. So at the end of this course, I expect to kind of have all I need to be able to scale through interviews and then be able to secure myself a job as a cloud security engineer. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Oluchi. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I think I have a lot of people that don't want to come on cam. That is fine. All right. I will just take 6 people as those that introduce themselves, and it's not that I'm going to ask. I can call anybody to talk, but I just want to know my students. And thank you for those people that have introduced themselves. So I don't have any other things to do today. I'm going to call it end here. And if you still have questions, you can ask me now. Otherwise, we will meet tomorrow, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. and that is when the training begins, the introduction to computer and networking. But before that, if you want to install all those services, all those requirements that I talked about, the software like the Python, if you want to install it on your system, please watch YouTube videos, bash VS Code. Although it's not required now. I'm going to, when we need it, I will be introducing them gradually. But if you want to do it now, just watch some videos for them. And also, before I left, I want to introduce you to our YouTube channel. We just started it like 1 or 2 months ago. So we're going to be, just type TheCornelis Inc. Type TheCornelis Inc. to it. Then this is it here. We are growing gradually. We're on 92, above my expectation. I think by now we should be like maybe 50, but we are 192. That's cool. So we have some videos here, and if you go to the, I'm kind of person that I don't really like recorded video. I always like to do live demo. So majority of the courses here, like 99% of them, they are live. But from this, very soon, every Friday, one thing that you can join us on YouTube. Don't let me digress. Let me first finish this. You can join us here, and I'll be posting some content here, so for you to watch, and you can watch them here. Also, back, there's something I forgot to mention here. There is, let me bring it out. There's something I forgot to mention. For you to gain job in the cloud, it's not only AWS that you need to know. There are some other things that you need to know that I will be introducing you to later, but they are not part of the regular class. It's going to be something that I will just arrange, like, hey, we need to, especially Python. You need to learn Python. You need to learn Linux. You need to learn Terraform. All this, Docker, Kubernetes, all these, they are not part of the regular class. This is AWS focus. But I'm going to be arranging several classes like Python. Like I think this January, we are going to be having a Python class, Python Modo 3 and Lambda for the old students. They push it to this January. So you need to be joining those. Like the Python class, we have Python in this place. We have a Python course here. If you go to the courses, we have Python that that we did in the previous class. We have Python that we did in the previous class. So you can still come here to watch it, but I'll be doing another live section for Python. So there are some courses that they are not part of this regular curriculum that I will be introducing. So if you have time, you join them. But if you don't have time, there's no problem. You just make sure that you go back and watch those videos. So I'm going to be introducing that. So that is the only thing I want to add. So AWS alone cannot get you the job. I mean, if AWS gets you the job, but doing the job, you need other things, especially Python, especially those people that want to get job in security. Python is very, 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 very important. Terraform is important. Linux is important because those are basic things that if you've been working in IT, you should be able to talk about. And at the end of this course, you'll be able to go out there and say you have 5 years of experience in AWS because you covered a lot. So for you to say you have 5 years of experience, there are some things that you must have talked about. There are some things that you must have encountered. And those, they are not very big, they are very small things. But if you have been in IT for that years, you should have encountered them. So those are what I will be introducing. And those are especially for Linux operating system. Oh, you've been in IT for 2 years, 4 years, and you don't know how to open file. You don't know how to move from one file to another. You don't know how to SSH into a server. All those things, you shouldn't be saying it. That you should never say that you've been IT in 5 years if you don't know how to do all those things. So we're going to be introducing all those things gradually. And don't worry, I'm not just going to push it to you. That is why before, as this class started, I always start with Linux. So a lot of people always get confused. That's why I push that to the middle of the class. Let's first talk about the basic AWS. So when you are good with the AWS, you understand, okay, this is the AWS. And for me to proceed further, then I need to go and learn this Linux. That is when I will introduce it. So you know that it is actually important and you don't have reason to run away from it. All right. Without anything from you guys, no questions. If you still want to
have a question.
All right, go ahead.
I have a question. You talked about Linux and Python. Is it part of this bootcamp or is it from a different bootcamp that somebody can watch?
No.
Or is it part of this?
So for the Python, if you go to some of our course list here, you will see, hey, I cover Python here. So you can still come here and watch the Python class, but I'm still going to arrange another Python class. So that Python class is part of this class before, it's part of this bootcamp before, but I move it out so that we can just focus on the cloud. So we're still going to be introduce them, but they are not going to be in our regular Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday class. So anytime we are introducing Python, it's going to be on another day. Maybe we can pick a Thursday for it, we can pick a Friday for it, or we can pick Saturday evening. It's going to be mutual agreement between me and you guys. So we now say, and it's not going to be compulsory, anybody that just wants it, but I will advise you is something that you need. I think.
Okay, so Python and Linux is something that will be arranged separately.
Separately.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
But if you don't want to wait, we already have enough. Yeah, this is Python classes here. This is enough for what you need. And we also have Linux also, which is also enough for what you need. Let me see. Hey, Linux operating system is here. Is enough for what you need as well. And if you also go to the YouTube channel, we also have Linux there, and we have Terraform there too. But all of this, I'm still going to be covering there also.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. If there is no other question again, I'm giving you back 48 minutes. As my student knows, anytime I give you back, I will collect it back. So I'm giving you back 48 minutes now. Just know that any day that we're going to go more than the regular class, that is me collecting my time that I give back to you.
I think we don't need it.
You say what?
I think we don't need it.
Yeah, but I always need it. I always need it. Those that know me know that I always need that time. All right. I just want to appreciate everybody for coming to today's class. I hope to see you tomorrow so that we can start the class proper. All right. Thank you guys for coming. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. And have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Yemi, I have a quick question. Is he still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Oh, how do we get the slides that you just presented today?
Yeah, so just go and register to that course and you will see the slide there.
Register on the website?
Yes, how I showed you how to register, then
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I think I already have an account. Do I still need to re-register again? Like log
Yeah,
in?
so having an account is different from register for this current course.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I quickly share my screen again.
All right. Sorry.
I can say that you are not in the class when I was talking about it.
I was in the class.
I know.
I was probably distracted, sorry.
Okay, that's why I always want people to be on camp. So I see, assuming that you're on camp, I will know that you're not there, so I can wait for you. But I'm not going to wait for you. I'm just kidding. All right, so if you go to this course list, I hope you can see it now.
Yes, I can.
If you go to this course list, then this is the current course.
Okay.
So you have to register here.
Okay, so got it.
Let me use another one. Okay, if you go to there, click on this. Then if you have paid, you should have access to it directly. Then if you go under here, you will see the introductory to live section. This is going to be the video. Then on the video, you will see the material there.
Okay.
Then for classes for tomorrow, you can come here to join. You will see the live section for day 2. You will see day 2 for tomorrow. You see day 2 and you see join live section. So you can come here to join the Zoom, or we're still going to be sending out the Zoom for tomorrow and the next tomorrow. But for subsequent one, you have to come here to join.
Okay.
The material, the videos, everything that we need to be sharing, you have to see it under that specific day.
All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Take care.
Bye.